The year was 2005.
The people of this African traditional religion believed in God.
The world was watching. Some were watching with history in their hearts. Could this be it? Could this be the moment Africa gives the world its first pope? He was once called the future of the Catholic Church, a brilliant mind, and a symbol of hope for millions of devoted African Catholics. Cardinal FRANCIS ARINZE rose through the ranks, praised by popes, admired by people across continents. Many believed he was destined for papacy, but he never became the pope, and he never will.
Nobody can be a judge in his own case, so it's only other people who will be judges. I can only stammer, but I do not pretend. The church does not live in the Vatican Museum. The church took a risk and made a priest who is 32 years old a bishop.
What happened? Why did the world turn away from a man full of light? Why did the dream of an African pope die in silence? Was it politics? Was it because he is black? Was it timing? Was it something deeper? Something the world isn't ready to say out loud? This is not just a story about one man. It is about hope, race, age, legacy, and the silent forces that shape the Catholic Church. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will find yourself understanding not only why Cardinal FRANCIS ARINZE can never be the Pope, but also questioning the Church and what the world may have lost because of this decision. Before we expose this deep secret about the Catholic Church, please subscribe to this channel, like the video, and drop your opinion in the comments.
A good picture has to include consideration on the African traditional religion, because that was the religious context in which the people lived. The people of this African traditional religion believed in God, one God, creator, from whom life comes. They also believed in spirits, good spirits and bad spirits.
Francis Arinze was born in the year 1932 in the town of Ezeowele, southeastern Nigeria. At just 9 years old, he made a very bold decision that would change his life forever. He converted to Catholicism against the backdrop of colonial tensions and spiritual transformation. He was baptized on his own request without any pressure, guided solely by a burning curiosity for truth. By 1958, he had been ordained a priest. Just 4 years later, at the age of 32, he became the youngest Catholic bishop in the world. Imagine that, a young man barely in his 30s, guiding thousands through faith and war. During the brutal Biafran-Nigerian Civil War, when most would run, Arinze stayed. He remained with his people, comforting, guiding, praying. He wasn't just a bishop, he was a shepherd. His wisdom and dedication caught the attention of Vatican. In 1984, Pope John Paul II called him to Rome, appointing him to key roles in interreligious dialogue and eventually as prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship and Discipline for the Sacraments, one of the highest offices in the Church. His name began to echo through the corridors of power. Fluent in more than a dozen languages, able to connect Muslims, Buddhists, and atheists alike, Cardinal Arinze stood as a bridge between worlds. He became to many a symbol of what the future of Catholic Church would look like. Global, grounded, and deeply human. So, in 2005, when Pope John Paul II passed away, many eyes were turned to Arinze. He was experienced, respected, charismatic. For the first time in history, the possibility of a black pope felt real. But then, it never happened. 2005, the Papal Conclave. Cardinals from across the globe filled the Sistine Chapel under the world's watchful eyes. The air was electric with speculations. Amongst the names whispered silently was Arinze. Many believed that the church was ready to turn a page. to reflect its growing flock in the global south, to embrace a leader whose life experiences resonated with millions. But the smoke that rose from the chimney was not for Arinze. It was white for Joseph Ratzinger, Pope Benedict XVI. But why? Some said Arinze was too theologically conservative, that in a church still processing rapid change, the cardinals wanted someone they knew. Someone European, familiar and safe. Others quietly pointed to race, not as a spoken reason, never that, but as a silent barrier. Would the world truly accept a black pope? Could the church? And then there was age. Arinze was already in his 70s, and though Pope John Paul II had served into old age, the trend was shifting towards younger men, ones who could lead for a decade or more. Behind every conclave lies a tension between tradition and transformation. And in 2005, tradition won. He returned to his duties in the Vatican. He never complained, never protested, never chased power. But to millions of Africans and to many Catholics across the globe, a quiet disappointment lingered. Not just for what didn't happen, but for what could have been. There are reasons the word speaks and reasons it doesn't. Cardinal Arinze may never have become the Pope, not because he lacked holiness, leadership, and brilliance. At least these were the known obstacles. They were subtle, institutional, and painfully human. This included age. By the 2013 conclave, Arinze was already 80, too old to vote, too old to be considered by tradition. Even in 2005, he was amongst the oldest serious candidates. Age matters, not just for energy, but for optics. The church was looking ahead. Arinze, they said, belonged to the past. But then, there is retirement. In 2008, he stepped down from his role in the Vatican. It was a quiet exit. No scandals, no controversy, but just time. But in the papal world, retirement is rarely the path to elevation. Arinze was known for strong doctrinal positions on liturgy, on interfaith relations, on moral theology, in a church slowly shifting towards reform and openness. His firmness was both admired and feared, but perhaps the most unspoken reason of all was race. Not a loud prejudice, not a cruel exclusion, but a quiet doubt. A question whispered in corridors, never said loud. Will the world accept a black pope? Will Europe accept it? Cardinals knew the weight of that choice, the symbolism, the backlash, the uncertainty. And when uncertainty visits the conclave, it turns to safety. And safety didn't look like Africa.
Over 330 people have died across South Africa after a week of violence. In a country where half the population live below the poverty line.
Everything, our whole life, everything is just gone. They've burnt everything.
And yet, in that silence, something was lost. This was what the church lost. Africa today is one of the most vibrant homes of Catholicism. It is growing faster than almost any other continent in terms of conservations, vocations, and community. To the faithful in Nigeria, Uganda, Congo, Ghana, Cardinal Arinze is not just a church leader. He is a symbol, a pioneer, a reminder that the heart of the church beats far beyond Rome. What could have changed if that heart had been given a voice. Representation matters. It isn't about politics, it's about presence. About seeing people who understands your language, your culture, your challenges, and your faith journey. The church had an opportunity to send a message to the world that holiness knows no color and leadership no borders. Instead, it sent another message quietly, unintentionally, but powerfully, that some dreams, no matter how holy, may still be too heavy for tradition to carry. This isn't to say that Pope Benedict XVI or Francis were mistakes, but to say that Francis Arinze was a moment, a possibility, and that possibility passed. What the church lost was not just a pope, it was a symbol of unity, of courage, of a world finally ready to see the sacred in a different skin. Francis Arinze never wore the white robes of the papacy. He never sat on the chair of St. Peter, but maybe he never needed to. His life, his voice, his presence became something just as powerful. He became a mirror, a reminder, a challenge to a world still learning to see beyond boundaries. He taught that greatness doesn't always come from thrones, but from faithfulness. He showed that you don't need a crown to carry Christ. He stood with integrity. When the world turned away, he loved the church, even when it passed him by. And that, perhaps, is what makes his legacy eternal. Cardinal Francis Arinze may never have become Pope, but in the hearts of millions, he was and always will be a father, a shepherd, a servant, and a symbol of the world we still hope to see.
And this year also marks your 40th anniversary of being 40 years as a cardinal. What advice do you have for new cardinals who could find themselves in the future participating in their first conclave?
Realize that we are in God's hands and that the church is not made by me or by the Pope, but by Christ. If the church had not been founded by Christ, it would have fallen to pieces long ago. But because Christ founded the church will stand. He gave it divine guarantee.